Hello everyone, my name is Luke Geddies. I'm a senior at Catholic Central High School. I was asked to speak here by Sister Monica Murphy, a member of the Sisters of St. Joseph and director of Pyramid Life Center, a summer retreat owned by the Albany Diocese in the Adirondacks. I was asked to speak about how I'm a witness to the Catholic faith. At first, I was not so sure what to say. Like many Catholics, I was baptized and raised in the Catholic Church. I went to Catholic schools all my life, and I'm surrounded by family who are mostly Catholics themselves. It only seems natural that I would be a witness to the faith. It makes sense I would know many of the rules, history, doctrine, and so on of the Catholic tradition. And maybe this is true. It is. But what many people don't realize is that, for me, it hasn't always been the easiest to maintain. We all experience doubt. Often we hear of priests and theology teachers talking about doubting God's power, love, or mercy. I suppose that can be hard for some people, and understandably so. But many people, especially myself, feel the weight of the doubt of the very existence of God. So why would I be here today talking about being a witness to the Catholic faith? I would assume that some might believe that I believe out of fear of God's non-existence, but that's not the case. If there was no God, there would be no afterlife, and therefore death would be the end of the incredible journey that is life. That concept has deeply bothered me since I was very young, even as young as 6 or 7 years old. It's been relatively consistent all my life, but out of the blue, for no apparent reason, this past February, it came back with fire and fury. It went on for months, and in those months, I tried to justify the absence of any God and come to grips with my mortality in a godless universe. I was an absolute maniac. I read tons of articles written by atheists and agnostics from Voltaire to Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins. I watched many hours of debates between Christians, Jewish rabbis, atheists, agnostics, but also on the flip side, I read the writings of the early church fathers, including those of Barnabas and Justin Martyr. Most significantly, I learned that in my own free time about all sorts of sciences, from biological evolution to quantum mechanics, and in this case, the origins of the universe. Now, you can tell by my science grade, I'm not skilled enough to go into detail about all the intricacies of all of that, but it is astonishing. The complexities of the universe and the laws of the universe can, as I've found, turn people away from God. But I see these complexities as a way to begin to understand and truly appreciate God and see the sheer beauty of His creation. As I've once heard it said, religion and science are not enemies, just two different languages telling the same story. I learned the importance of not only what science says, but also what history says. People who know me know that I have a love for history, so when I learned about the historical beginnings of the church, I realized how much it really made sense. Both reliable Christian and non-Christian texts point to a perfect storm of events that do make sense, and it all seems to work perfectly together. Learning these things helped me find and get closer to God, but it did not completely fix the issue. Two things helped me really fix that issue, and those were realizing what I have seen people do for others and what people have done for me. For many years over the summer, I helped out at the Friendship Table, a soup kitchen run by the Sacred Heart Parish in North Albany. My brother and I would walk down to the church and meet two of my cousins, and we would serve all of those who came. The rest of the staff were mostly parishioners at the church. Helping out down there has really impacted me. As you could imagine, I really noticed that not everyone was as fortunate as myself, and I saw the outpouring of care that my brother, cousins, and the rest of the staff offered to those people. I talked with many of them about many different things, but somehow nearly every time, the person I was talking to would mention their thankfulness to God. It makes sense now because I've learned it from them, but when I was younger, it didn't register with me, how they could be so happy and grateful. But over time, when I saw how they came into the dining room and talked about the daily going-ons in their lives and how the staff took time out of their day, I learned that the deeper love shared was common among everyone from all different backgrounds. Not everyone had the same story, but they all had a common goal, and it was joy. And I knew where that joy was rooted because as families and individuals left, after saying thank you, they would almost always say, God bless. 2 years ago, the newly appointed youth minister at my parish, St. Pius X in Loudonville, Lauren Numerick, asked me if I would be interested in going on a mission trip to a small town a couple hours out of New Orleans, Louisiana, called Abbeville. The months that followed her question were full of preparation alongside other teens from St. Ambrose and Latham. Through the fundraising and pancake breakfasts, I met some of my best friends. The whole experience was amazing. We flew down south to Abbeville and stayed at a retreat center called Our Lady of the Bayou. In that week, we helped fix the community center and recreation room, visited people at nursing homes, helped repair the place where we stayed at, and we prayed. The adoration of the Blessed Sacrament was a time when I felt very close to God in a way that I hadn't experienced before. When I was, the day before that, the sacrament, the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, we all went around in a circle and told everyone the story of when we first felt God's experience. And I was expressing the fears that I had said before. And I remembered that night when I was all alone, I looked at a cross hanging in my room, and I calmed down for that night, and it really impacted me, and I remember that so clearly. But at that adoration, one of the girls on the trip got very emotional, because of many different things going on in her life. And soon, I and almost everyone else in the room went and sat with her. And I felt care, I felt love, and as far as I know, I felt God working right there. The Louisiana trip was extremely enriching and very fun. In that experience, but also for as long as I can remember, people have sacrificed things for me. The main people to do this were my father and mother. They showed and continue to show me love in ways I could not imagine by going to work daily and plowing through it all just to send me to Catholic schools and also to pay for college starting next year. They support me when I need it and help whenever I ask. My whole family has done this for me, and I don't know how to express my thanks. Also, friends and my priests and so many other people have helped me. But why me? I also see that among the turmoil in the world, there are so many people that put themselves at risk to help the poor and the weak and the helpless. People who die for others they don't even know, and people who die for Jesus. It amazes me. It inspires me. When I was working up at Pyramid Life Center this past summer, I had a conversation with another staff member about all of these things. I remember saying how there must be a God, not only because of the complexity of the universe or the perfectly plausible history. I told him how well-informed the arguments of many atheists are and agnostics are, but I told him how well-informed the arguments of many theologians are too. But I ended by telling him the thing that really matters: love, care, and compassion. God is real because there is love. The Catholic faith encompasses that goal. We find the cycle in the relationship between the three persons of the Trinity. Jesus was a main example of what true love is. He sacrificed his life by dying on a cross for the sins of all of us. He gives us himself in the Eucharist. He allowed us to share him with all people. I've seen it myself. Many people claim to have never seen God in their lives. Often skeptics look for or ask why they don't see the storm clouds form and a big booming voice call down from the sky saying, "I am God." But what people should look for are simple acts of compassion to one another. I think that's where God is, and I think that's what it means to be Catholic. Thank you, and God bless.